And here we are, 2020, a very unusual year. You know, life does come full circle. And it's now 13 years since Norval passed away. And of course he's still an influence in my life. I still paint in woodland style. And I lived now in Canada again for about a year, and I traveled up to the Queen Charlotte Islands, and this is why I say full circle. I had just met Norval just when I had moved some wood, as I said, from the Queen Charlottes to Amsterdam. Now, I didn't realize who he was at the time, also as I mentioned, but since then, that's many years ago, I've come to appreciate who Mr. Morrisseau really was. And he was a genius. He channeled information from 1,000 years ago, and I think he had visions into 1,000 years from now. You know, I'm sure that his work will still be around if we are still around. And you know, when you're in the moment and you meet and you get to know famous people, they don't seem different than anyone else. Norval was an exception. Norval was different from most people. He had had a long and hard life. He was born in abject poverty in the middle of the Depression, and his family survived by subsistence hunter-gathering. He, with his grandfather, would go on a trap line. Beaver was their primary targets, you know, and it kept them alive. Probably they ate better than a lot of other people did during that particular period of time. But during that time, he also learned a lot of stuff, and from his grandfather, Putin, and it affected him throughout his whole life. He stayed true to his beliefs and his traditions, and the reality was that Norval was shaman, and they live in a different dimension than us, you know. But basically, what I would like to do is to sort of take us through the period of time that I was in contact with this very important world-class artist. So the first time I came in contact with the forgery crew or industry was in 1990. There was a show in Toronto. It was the first show Kinsman Robinson put on, and it was the morning after the show. In fact, they were filming the originals with old Moses Nymar. Now, I was downstairs before Norval came down, Four Seasons Hotel. There's a gallery there. Norval and I went in. There's a painting on the wall. Norval looks at it and says, I've never seen that painting before in my life. The gallery owner is standing right beside us. He freaks out. He goes and calls the person he bought the painting from. The person he bought the painting from was Don Robinson. Now, this caused quite a kerfuffle. Now, by the end of that day, the story had changed. That is, Norval's story had changed to, I must have painted it when I was drunk. Now, he didn't paint the painting at all. And he told me this later. He told me one person's name that he believed that painting had something to do with, and that was Wolf, his brother. And some years later, we traveled out to see the family. I met Barney and the nephew and many of the different family members. And we went to see Wolf also, but Wolf had heard that we were coming and he disappeared. Now, Norval was trying to put the brakes on that whole operation in '92. And he told Barney, straight up, you guys got to quit doing this shit. You know, you're fucking up my shit. But Barney, they didn't care. They were making money, big money. And they were turning those things out fast. You know, I have worked for Norval and I know how long it takes to produce a painting. Now, if you're doing an original piece of work by someone like Norval, he takes his time, man. He kicks back. He wants to see the right colors going on in the right place. But these guys were churning out crap, brother. You know, and I truly don't understand how people cannot tell immediately. But I have, over the years, come to the conclusion that there's many people who cannot tell. And the very first one that I saw was that one, and I couldn't tell. You know, I learned over the years watching the master at work and watching his techniques and seeing his choice of colors and the complicated world that was Norval's bank of characters, and you know, they were all there. He painted people that he knew, and the forgeries are all of the same nobody characters, you know. But what is left in the marketplace is doubt. And what we, as purveyors of fine arts, you know, our responsibility is to hand on to our children and their children and their children's children the real thing, not some watered down version of the real thing. And I aspire to be of some assistance to that. And I would ask any of you who can be of assistance to shedding light on this dilemma, this problem, to please be forthright and do it.